What is happening, people? It is Brian, Alsruhe, neversate.com, and as promised, I'm gonna get you the September Q&A out by the end of September. It might come down to the very last minutes, though. But I did think it'd be more entertaining and probably a little bit funnier if I just rapid fired the answers, read through your comments, gave you guys some quick responses, and hopefully I can get through a ton of these before I run out of time, so let's get after it. All right, top comment comes from Nick Alsruhe, and unfortunately I am not gonna share it because this is a family-friendly channel and my little niece watches it, but that's pretty funny, man. All right, next one, Gabriel Martin said, this video made me clue what I was already suspecting. Brian did everything at least once. I have done a lot of things in my life. I've had more experiences than probably just about anyone I know. Some are good, some are bad, but I have done a lot. Shuvan Howder said, Brian gets sweatier after every jump cut. Yes, I absolutely do. It has been a pretty warm September for us, and it was a particularly hot day on that day. Plus the fact that I do get pretty nervous before I record these things. Sometimes that's why my face is red, because I'm embarrassed. Sometimes it's just stress. Sometimes it's other things, but I sweat like a pig no matter what I do. I sweat while I eat, but yeah, so there you go. That's why I'm sweating so much. Chronos Kraken asks, what about your visit to Jujimufu? I am definitely going to do that. However, with a bum shoulder and a hurt foot, here is the thing about visiting Jujimufu. I know that I'm an idiot, and I'm pretty sure that he's an idiot. When two idiots get together, awesomeness ensues. However, the chances of hurting yourself also kind of rises, and with the national championships only being a couple weeks away, I'm not going to do that before I go do that. All right, ready for the after party said, not enough nunchucks. Why are you speaking in all capitals? Look, man, here's the thing. If you want to get someone's attention, do not write in all capitals. That does nothing more than make that person who is reading it think that you might be a little bit off. And number two, I really don't like being told what to do. Now, if you would have said, Brian, please, can you give us more nunchucks? I would have given you all the nunchucks that you possibly could have wanted. However, since you screamed at me and told me what to do, no nunchucks for you, my friend. Soren said, Brian learned how to master the nunchucks in the CIA, and I think you may have misspelled CIA. I think what you were looking for was Carroll County, because it was a misspent youth of me walking around hitting things and other people as well as myself. And that is how I learned nunchucks. All right, can't say your name because of that family-friendly thing, but you said, dude, you're just a superhero, and I appreciate that, but I am not a superhero. I'm just a dude with an abnormally large work ethic. If I'm a superhero, anyone can be a superhero. All right, Seventh Wave gave me a translation to my 3rd-degree black belt, and he said, from back to front, it reads, Brian Alsruhe. Close enough. That is about 2,000 times better than I thought it was going to say, so thank you very much for that translation, brother. All right, Odin636 said, what was the dumbest thing you've ever done in a training routine? I would say curls, believing that they would actually work. All right, XX Hilo said, farmer's walks you advised me to do made me so sore that I cannot work out for a week. Number one, that tells you should probably be doing some more farmer's walks. Number two, you are not so sore that you can't work out for a week. Let me ask you this. If your house was on fire and you're sitting on your couch and you just had a big leg day and your legs are brutally sore, more sore than they've ever been in your entire life, but your house is on fire, are you so sore that you can't get up and run out? Then get back in the gym, man. People come into my gym every single week without legs, without arms, and they still get it done. I'm thinking a little bit of soreness probably isn't the worst thing that will ever happen to you in your life. Mike Deek said, how do you not give out that dean's name? That is a life-changing moment in your life. Yes, I absolutely agree. And if you guys don't know what we're talking about, in that last video, I talked about how I was getting kicked out of college, but a very, very kind dean was nice enough to essentially be an advocate for me and kept me in college. Now, the reason why I did not give his name is because number one, I do not know that he wants to be put on blast. And number two, I cannot remember it, man. Maybe it is 10 years of taking sleep pills every single night or whatever the case would be. It could have been my brain tumor. But I can't remember his name. I really, really wish I could. I should look him up and just reach out and tell him thank you. Man, he definitely did change the course of my life. And honestly, I can tell you probably like 20 people in my life that have literally changed the course of it just by being kind. So really, really cool of him. I am going to look him up. And if he's cool with me giving out his name, I definitely will in the video. All right, next question comes from Hakeem Forza. And he asked, do you auto-regulate your training? Yes, I do. I think just about everyone should auto-regulate their training. Also, have you ever been overtrained? And if so, what were the symptoms and what steps did you take to avoid it during future training cycles? I don't know that I've ever been overtrained in the traditional sense. I can say that I've had CNS fatigue. Now, I know a lot of people, CNS fatigue is kind of like a fun catchword right now where people are like, oh, my CNS is down, blah, blah, whatever. I would tend to say that it is not. Probably they're just tired, undernourished, dieted, underslept, whatever the case may be. But I've had CNS fatigue so bad that I threw up every single day for 4 months, was weak as a kitten, and could not regulate my body temperature. Now, what to do when that happens? Nothing really solves it other than calories and sleep. We do not know a whole lot about the central nervous system. I am planning on doing an entire video on what I personally do to try to avoid CNS dig. However, it's kind of like throwing darts in the dark. You don't really know what's actually happening. You also asked, how often do you perform, for how long, and how hard do you go on your conditioning? Here's the thing, man. I already covered a ton on this. I probably have 5 or 6 videos out about conditioning and how to add it into your training depending on what your goals are and things like that. So you're definitely going to want to check out those videos. But for me personally, conditioning is always flat out. I typically, I guess, regulate it by how long the session is going to be. So if it is going to be a brutally hard, just full out sprint, then I won't make it more than like 5 to 8 minutes long. If it's kind of a medium intense type of thing, it'll be somewhere between 10 and 12 minutes long. And then longer sessions will be something like 15 to 25 minutes. But every single time I'm going as hard as possible for the given amount of time, and I use that actual clock to regulate how long or how hard or whatever, but I'm always going flat out. I don't know how to go any other way. Number 3, you asked, my bench has been stuck around 315 for a long time. You're an incredibly strong bencher. I'm really not. But I wonder if you were ever in a plateau, and if so, what did you do to blast through it? So I was in a bench plateau for 6 years. So for everyone who's like, oh man, my bench hasn't moved in like 2 months, calm down, buttercup. It's gonna be okay. It will break through. The things that helped me out a lot were upping my tricep strength through things like close grip bench press. Now these days, I don't do anything but close grip bench press or floor press. Those are pretty much the only 2 bench variations I really do. I do not do the traditional benching because I don't have any immediate plans for a powerlifting meet, and I know I can get right back to where I was anyway. My close grip is almost as high as my regular, so I know just a little bit of tweaking and I can walk into any powerlifting competition and do okay. I may not win the bench, but I'll do okay. But drive up your tricep strength, man. Your technique has to be spot on. Your setup needs to be spot on. And if those 2 things are already there, then it's probably your tricep strength that is holding you back. Jaron Nowin said, cicadas are free protein. Most of the stuff is factory farm nowadays, and he goes on, goes on. Here's the thing, man. I am 100% with you. I have no problem eating bugs of any type. I think it is good, cheap protein, and I personally don't have a stomach that it really bothers. So if you know of good sources that I can get good quality protein, like cricket powder or protein powder made from insects, or even just the insects themselves, please link that in the place down below so that I can hopefully get in on that, because that is something I definitely like to take advantage of, and I don't think too many people are doing it, so it's probably very cheap, a lot cheaper than like whey or anything else, any other alternative. So if you do know a good source, please leave it down below because I want to jump on that train. All right, Masterflow 2000 asks, do you have any tattoos? If not, why? And if they do, what do they mean to you? I do not have any tattoos, and the only reason why I do not, it's not because I have anything against tattoos. It has to do with the fact that I can't find anything that I personally love enough to stick on my body for any amount of time. A guy like me, your interests change about every 3 to 4 years, and you reinvent yourself. You do something completely different for a little while. And I'm not sure that if I got a tattoo that I want to go into the next stage of my life with that being shown to everyone, if it wasn't something that could be universally used, and there's nothing that I have found so far that I universally love enough to stick on my body permanently. King Felix asks, in my opinion, who is the greatest strongman of all time? His friend says Big Z, he says Pujanowski, and to be completely honest with you, man, I do not follow the sport. I could not tell you 10 guys who are in the sport. I don't follow it. And that is a common thing that you'll see amongst people who are in that vein. They don't really follow what other people are doing. They're more worried about what they're doing themselves. So I don't actually really follow anyone. I would probably say Mike Jenkins because he was one of my good friends growing up. And now I would probably say Brian Shaw because he's one of my friends, or Olu because Olu comes to my gym. Olu Watafume Fatshire. But honestly, I like all of them because they're my friends, not because of something that they did in the strength sport world. Xenos911 said, I really enjoy your videos. Do you ever make it to the range? Man, I don't shoot guns at all anymore. I spent so much time in my life as a firearms instructor and just shooting guns over and over and over and over again that I have lost all taste for it. I was never really into guns growing up. I was never really one to go around playing with guns, just as something that I'm good at and I got paid a lot of money to do, but it has nothing to do with actual desire, so I stay away from it altogether. I no longer carry a gun with me, which changed pace because I have one with me all of the time for the past decade. And the way that I look at it is I have enough skills that if someone brings a gun and tries to rob me, it will be my gun because I can take it from them probably faster than they can pull that trigger, and then I have a gun anyway, so there's no real use in me just walking around with that big hunk of metal on my waist anyway. Simmer and Shannon asks, is there such thing as overtraining, and how do you know if you are overtrained? So I'm not really sure if I would say that there is such thing as overtraining. I would say there is such thing as CNS fatigue, and I will tell you, if you're asking that question, you're probably in the first stages of it. However, if you are truly overtrained, getting off the couch is just about everything you can do if you are truly overtrained. If you're like a little sore and you go in the gym and it's not there, or you can't find the intensity, or you feel flat, that's not overtrained. That's just beat up, sore. You probably need some sleep, you probably need some calories, but no, as far as actual overtraining, if you are truly overtrained, you will know it. There is no doubt about it. Tiresome Dragon asked, do you prefer figure 8 straps over conventional straps? So I was just gifted some figure 8 straps from Ken Nowicki, the owner of the American side of Cerebus Strength, and I absolutely love them. I will be honest with you, they're so fast getting on. Great for competition. The only thing that I will say is that it ties you to the implement. So a lot of the bigger shows are no longer allowing figure 8 straps for that reason, because if you're walking with a 1,000-pound frame, and you're tied to it and you pass out, or it goes down and you trip or stumble or whatever, and you're tied to that thing, the chance of you getting injured are pretty high. So a lot of places are doing away with them, but I actually really, really like them. I don't know that I prefer one over the other. I think for competition, when you have to strap in under the clock, so like at Nationals, you start like 15 feet away from the implement, they say competitor ready, go. You need to run to the implement, strap in, and then start going. I think for something like that, I would very much prefer them, but I think for regular gym stuff, I only really use straps. For heavy bent over rows, that's really the only time I ever put them on. So I'm not really sure. I don't know that I have an opinion, but I will say that they are very, very nice.